Welcome to Biochamp Academy. This is the part 2 video for Unit 2.1 IB Molecular Biology, Molecules to Metabolism. So in this video, we are going to start with the definition of molecular biology and then we are going to cover theory of vitalism. So in theory of vitalism, we are going to cover the concept of urea, what is the difference between the organic and inorganic compounds, how we can synthesize the urea, and using the example of urea, how we can falsify this particular theory, which is theory of vitalism, right? So these two topics we are going to cover today. So student, make sure that you have already watched the part 1 video of unit 2.1 in which we have covered the entire concept of the metabolism. So if you haven't watched that video yet, then I would highly recommend you all that please go and watch that video, because that metabolism concept is very much important for this particular unit as well as for other units as well. And this theory of vitalism and falsification of this theory using urea example can also be asked in paper 2, and sometime in paper 1 for MCQ they are asking that urea is organic or inorganic compound. So make sure this video also you'll watch thoroughly. So let's begin with the definition of molecular biology. So here I have written the definition of molecular biology. That is, molecular biology explains the living processes in terms of the chemical substances involved. So what does it mean? It means that living processes, so as in metabolism part we have already discussed that what can be the living processes. So you might say that all the Mrs. Green or Mr. H. Green functions would come under the living processes, right? So correct. So let's take example here as the digestion. So consider that digestion is a living process, or the cell respiration, right? So these are occurring in the living organism, that's why they are considered as the living processes. Now if I take the example of digestion, then here for the chemical substances I would use any kind of the chemical, whether it's a carbohydrate starch, whether it's the amino acids or the proteins, or whether it's the lipids, right? So we are consuming this kind of the chemicals in our diet, right? So when you consume this chemical substance, then it is going to be digested in your body so that later it can be easily absorbed, so you can get all the nutrition from that, you can get all the energy so that you are ready to perform all the Mr. H. Green functions, right? So ultimately molecular biology always deals with this kind of the chemical substances and the living processes. So that's why the definition says it explains the living processes in terms of the chemical substances involved. Clear? Right? Okay, so now let's start with the concept of the urea. So this is the second topic, that is about the theory of vitalism, right? So before learning the theory of vitalism, let's learn about the urea first, and then we'll move to the theory of vitalism. Okay, now as you all are knowing okay, so now as you all are knowing that urea is the nitrogen containing compound, right? So here I have drawn the structure of the urea, so you can easily find that nitrogen is present here as well as nitrogen is present here, meaning this urea is a nitrogen containing compound, and we all know that it is a waste product of the body, right? So it is always going to be excreted out with the urine. So it is a component of urine and it is a waste product, right? Later we are going to learn that why it is considered as a waste product. Okay, so here I have drawn the structure of urea. Definitely there is no requirement by you to remember this structure, but sometime in MCQ they are giving this structure and you have to identify whether it's inorganic or organic compound. So make sure that urea is always coming under the category of organic compound. So I am giving here two questions to you all, that let's consider first as an example of oxygen. So what do you say, oxygen is organic compound or inorganic compound? Let's take another exam, CO2. What do you think? Is it organic compound or inorganic compound? So, okay, I hope that you all have guessed it correctly. But let's see now what would be the answer for the oxygen and carbon dioxide. These both are coming under the category of inorganic compound, right? So if you have guessed it correctly, then well done, and if you think it's organic compound, then no, it is inorganic. So you will say that how you can remember that whether the compound is organic or inorganic compound, and make sure you have to remember it, because MCQs they can ask you. They will give you the MCQ like which of the following compound is organic compound, and they will give you the example of ammonia, carbon dioxide, water and urea. So in that, if you are having this idea that if the compound is present in living body, if the compound is present in a living body, and if it is having carbon and hydrogen both in its structure, then only a compound will be coming under the organic compound category, right? So carbon dioxide, even though it is having carbon in it, still it is inorganic because it is not having hydrogen. But urea is coming under the category of organic compound because it is present inside the body, as well as it is having carbon and hydrogen both. I hope now all of your doubts about the organic and inorganic compounds are clear, and let's move to the synthesis of urea topic. So now we are clear about urea, its structure, why it's organic compound and everything. Now we have to understand that why it is considered as a waste product of the body and it is excreted out with the urine, right? So let's see about the synthesis of urea. Urea can be synthesized by two methods. Number one is called as natural method and another one is called as artificial method. So we have to learn both the methods in detail. So first we are going to learn about the natural method. As the name says, natural method, meaning it is naturally synthesized inside our body, right? So it is synthesized in the body. That's why it is called as natural method. So inside our body, excess amount of amino acids are always present. So from where we are getting this amino acids? So we know that amino acids are the component or the monomers of the proteins, right? Proteins are going to be the polymers and amino acids are going to be the monomers, right? So they are the monomers. So assume that in the breakfast you had egg. Now this egg is made up of albumin protein. So consider for example here that the protein in the egg is made up of 50 individual monomers of amino acids that will make the entire protein which is present in the egg, right? Now once we eat this protein, meaning this egg, this is undergoing the digestion process, right? So digestion process. So all of this 50 amino acids monomers which are right now joined here are going to be individually digested and separated like this, so that they can later easily be absorbed by our cells, right? Okay, so now consider after digestion your body needs 45 amino acids to make its own protein. For example, skin is made up of protein called collagen, hair is made up of protein called keratin, right? So they are also the polymers. They also require the amino acids to join together and then they make the particular protein. So out of this 50 amino acid, 45 amino acids body is using. Then what about the remaining 5 amino acids? Remaining 5 amino acid body doesn't require. So because body is not requiring this 5 amino acid, these amino acids are going to be considered as the excess amino acid which are present inside our body. Right, now we know that amino acids are made up of the chemical element called carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sometimes in some amino acids sulfur is also present, right? Now we know that nitrogen is there as the component of amino acid. This nitrogen, if it is present inside our body in unused manner in excess amount, then it is going to generate toxicity. Because these amino acids, 5 amino acids are right now in excess amount, they are going to generate toxicity. So they must be eliminated or excreted out of the body to avoid that toxicity in the body, right? So we know that all the detoxification things are going to be carried out by the liver of the body, right? So whenever in the body we are having this excess amount of amino acid, then it will come to the liver. This liver is going to detoxify it by breaking down the amino acids into ammonia. So this is very important step, the first step, that your amino acids are getting converted into ammonia. Now inside our body we do have carbon dioxide because it's a waste product of the cell respiration, right? That CO2 we are exhaling out, right? So this carbon dioxide is going to combine with this ammonia and it is going to form urea. So remember the structure of urea that we discussed previously. I am again drawing it here, that CO, NH2 and NH2, which is the amine group, right? So see, you can now simply say that CO coming from the carbon dioxide, NH2 is coming from the ammonia. So when the carbon dioxide and ammonia combines, it is going to form urea. Once urea is formed, then it will enter in the bloodstream and then it reach to the kidney. Once it is reaching to the kidney, then kidney is going to excrete out the urea with the urine. So this is the entire natural method that how urea is getting synthesized inside our body and why it is considered as a waste product. Because it is made up of this nitrogen, excess nitrogen, which is not in use inside our body, so it will convert into ammonia, which is again more toxic compound, right? So this must be converted into urea and must be excreted. So that is the reason it is the waste product. So this is how in the body urea is getting synthesized. So we know that from the natural method, the ammonia NH3 combines with CO2 and we are getting the byproduct as a urea, right? So you can now tell me that ammonia is organic or inorganic compound and carbon dioxide is organic or inorganic compound. Excellent, right? Now you know that ammonia is inorganic, carbon dioxide is also inorganic. But what about urea? Is the organic compound. So when two inorganic compounds will join, they will make the organic compound. So remember this point. Later we are coming back to this point after discussing about the artificial synthesis of the urea, right? So let's move on to the artificial synthesis. Artificial method meaning in laboratory scientists or chemists, they are making the urea. Now you might ask me that what is the requirement to synthesize urea artificially? So yes, it's a great requirement to synthesize urea as artificial by using, you can say, the artificial method, because urea is a very good fertilizer. So farmers are using this urea as a fertilizer to grow their crops, right? So for that we do require the excess amount of urea, sufficient amount of urea, which we can get by the artificial synthesis, not by the natural method. We can't get that much of the urea, right? Yeah. Okay, so artificially urea can be synthesized by two methods. So as I have written here both the methods, scientists, they are already knowing that in the body this ammonia combines with carbon dioxide. So they use the same thing because ammonia in the powder form is available, CO2 in the gaseous form is available. They mix these two and they found ammonium carbamate. This ammonium carbamate is then converted into urea and water. So this is the first easy method that scientists used. Number two was the scientist called Holler. He found this method in which he used silver isocyanate combines with ammonium chloride. So these both are inorganic compound. They are not having carbon in them, right? So they are going to be inorganic compounds. Inorganic compounds. So when they mix these two inorganic salts, they found urea. So again, you'll have both the inorganic compounds. You are getting the organic compound. So natural and artificial, both methods are saying that when you combine two inorganic compound, you can get organic compound, right? Now this is all about the urea, and this are the you can say that subtopics that you have to know about the urea. Now why we have discussed all of this thing about the urea? The reason is we have to understand the theory of vitalism. So let's go ahead with the theory of vitalism concept. So what theory of vitalism is saying? It says all the organic compounds, so make sure you focus on these keywords, all organic compounds can be synthesized using living organisms only, or using vital forces or vital principles only. Meaning, if you want to make organic compound, then you should have the living body, living organism, or other organic compounds. So theory of vitalism is saying that organic compounds can be made or can be synthesized from other organic compounds only, meaning they cannot be synthesized by using inorganic compounds. I hope now you are getting that, getting the idea that why we discuss about the urea, because the urea is saying completely opposite concept, that when you mix the inorganic and inorganic compound, you'll get organic compound, right? But here it is saying when you mix organic and organic compound, then only you can get organic compound. So is it true or false? Correct, right? So this theory has been falsified. Why? Because we know that urea can be made artificially without using any kind of living organism, as well as it can be synthesized using inorganic compounds. So urea can be made artificially from inorganic compounds. That's why this theory has been falsified, right? So sometime for paper 2 they might ask you for 5 marks, that write down the theory of vitalism and falsify the theory using urea as an example. So in that you have to write this theory of vitalism, the entire theory. Then you have to write about the falsification, that it is falsified because urea can be synthesized artificially also, in which you can explain this artificial synthesis of urea method, right? So that you can get all full marks basically. Clear? So this is what you have to learn for theory of vitalism and about the urea. So I hope your doubts are clear now and you understood clearly about the urea concept and theory of vitalism concept and what is molecular biology. So for this video we are keeping up to this only, and the remaining part, that is the carbon compounds, why carbon is a diverse compound, and what are the molecular diagrams that you need to know as the IB student, right, for the other units as well, that we are going to cover in the next video. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I would highly recommend you to subscribe the channel, to like the video, to share the video with your friends, because these are the concept that can be very having very much importance for your IB exams. And once again, thank you so much everyone.